As Nigeria approaches another crucial junction in its democratic journey, the question of who will succeed Professor Mahmood Yakubu as INEC Chairman is more than a personal change. It's a test of institutional integrity. The power to appoint the head of the nation's electoral body currently rests with the president, a setup that has sparked fierce debate in a country where elections often determine not just leadership, but legitimacy. Now, should one arm of government hold the pen that writes the rules, or is it time to rethink the architecture of electoral independence? Well, joining me right now to further discuss this is Mark Adebayo, the convener of New Direction for Nigeria movement. He joins me live in the studio. I also have a Banjo Omole, is the founder of Inspired Movement, and Dr. Salaudeen Hashim as a public policy analyst. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. All right, let me start with you, Mr. Mark Adebayo. I mean, you are you've been on this program for a couple of times, and we've had this conversation as regards Nigeria's electoral process and all of that. So I want to ask you, let me get straight to it. There have been debates as regards who will become the new INEC chair. But again, some are also questioning if, even though we know it's by the law, it's according to the law, should the president still have the power, to appoint, the leader of the umpire?
If I hear you correctly, about the appointment, thank you. I'm already addressing it, but you need to unmute. You need to unmute so I can hear you directly from here. So the appointment of the INEC Chairman by the president, has already, read the election in his favor. It's like you're having two teams that are playing. I now ask the captain of one of the teams to choose who will be the umpire, who will be the referee, who will officiate the match. Already, that election, that match has been compromised because who pays the piper decides to. I do not know why the people in power have abandoned the Justice Ways Committee recommendation that the National Judicial Council should be given the responsibility to advertise, to screen, and to recommend the chairman of INEC to the Council of State for all transmission to the Senate for interview and rest of that before they will now finally recommend someone to become INEC chairman. For as long as the president, who is an interested party, who is contesting in that election, remains the appointer of the chairman of our electoral management body, for so long, the free, fair, credible election that we are clamoring for this country will just be a mirage. All right, thank you very much. There's no way you will ask somebody who is sitting for an exam to pick somebody to mark his papers. It's not going to work. If we need free, fair, credible election in this country, we should give the responsibility to an external body, to an independent body, to a neutral body, to help us, appoint or at least source for, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission. If the president continues to have the power and the authority to appoint the INEC chairman, we are not going to have free, fair election. All
right, Mr. Adebayo, your point has been taken. I mean, you've said it clearly. You said that it shouldn't be, but then ideally, it shouldn't be the president that should appoint the INEC chairman. Maybe, just maybe, Mr. Banjo Omole, who is with me in the studio right now, would have a different opinion. What's your take?
You see, most times the way we discuss the issue of INEC chairman at times surprise me, because the issue of INEC chair is not the only appointee. I think we have almost 6 or 8 other commissioners. Are we saying, because when you look at the election is even the head, which Yakubu Mahmood cannot totally take decision. You have commissioners.
But it's the head. I mean,
you have
the core decision rests with him too.
Yes, it rests with him. He's not the executive head. You have almost 5 or 6 commissioners, national. You see, the way election is conducted, if it is mad at the local government, if it is mad at the state, and the national commissioner will be those that will report to the national chairman. So I think if we have to make it a comprehensive thing, if you are talking that the president should not appoint or whatsoever, why not?
So you are saying whether the president appoints the chairman or not,
yes.
it really has nothing to do with the quality of the outcome of the election. It's not tied in any way.
You see, in appointing the head, it's tied. It has to do with looking at those that are involved. You get what I'm saying now? This man is a professor, and we have Professor Iwu, we have other people. The point we are having goes down. It's like what we are saying now that, okay, when the president appoints somebody and have other people that are appointed. I think if you look at INEC now, those that have powers in INEC, you can count them almost if they are not more than 25. Are you saying that Mahmood will just say, yes, this election result that is coming from this way should not be done? It's not possible. So, and I think, and if we look at it again, I think the best thing people are saying is that we have to follow the Constitution. I mean, that's what we said, that the president should be the one to appoint the electoral, the INEC chairman. So all what we can say is that, okay, let him appoint. For example, some people are saying he should not appoint from Southwest. I think right from in the 60s, nobody has been appointed from the Southwest. Does it mean anyone that comes from the Southwest?
So for you, do you think that that portion where the president,
yes,
having the power,
yes,
because he is also going to be a candidate,
yes,
during that election, yes, having the power to appoint the umpire.
Yes.
So what you're saying right now is that it's immaterial to the quality or the outcome of the election.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Let's go on a quick break. When we return, I'll be taking the, of course, opinion of Dr. Salaudeen Hashim, who is a public policy analyst on this. Stay with us. We'll be right back. I still have my guest with me. That's Mark Adebayo, is the convener of New Direction for Nigerian Movement, Banjo Omole, founder, Inspired Movement, and also Dr. Salaudeen Hashim, a public policy analyst. Gentlemen, thank you for staying with me. Now, quickly, Dr. Hashim, what's your take as regards who appoints the head of INEC? Do you think it should still, even though we know that's what the law says, it should still be within the purview of Mr. President?
Actually, the law has actually prescribed the procedure for appointment, and the law was very clear to say the president can only do that with adequate consultation with the National Council of States first in that process, and then, of course, onward transfer to the National Assembly for ratification. But, of course, the debate and the argument in the room had suggested the issue of neutrality, which INEC does not have. And, of course, there had been some recommendations from the OIS panel, Electoral-led Reform Committee, suggesting very clearly that the power should be transferred. But the question is, even if the power is transferred, if there is no political deliberate approach in the accountability of the process, what are the indicators that we have that neutrality would actually be achieved? Please don't also forget that beyond appointment, that the president also has the power of the purse to determine the amount and the budget of INEC, and that in itself also speaks volume. So beyond the appointment of the chair, we should look at the entire holistic operations of INEC and find that neutrality, because again, you have breached the code of neutrality if you allow a president who is also going to be an active player and his political party to also lead in this process. But again, from hindsight, we have had presidents in the past who were sitting president, who had the power to appoint and have also lost elections. And that tells very clearly that it is actually the integrity of the person who is actually sitting that matters a whole lot. And the question remains, what exactly is the current procedure and how do we shop for those people who sit on the umpire of our electoral body. If indeed the president consults the National Council of State before nominations are made, were those consultations adequate? The process in this first place are they undertaken? And once that happens, what is the approach of verification and then of course ensuring that accountability is also dealt with from the side of the National Assembly? Either way, corruptions and the tendency for compromise is there, but what matters most is that we must have an institution in itself that is very responsive to the yearning of legitimacy, which is one of the missing elements in our electoral value chain.
All right, thank you so much. I mean, one thing you've actually did try to x-ray is what the process looks like. And of course, the need for some changes. But that will bring my question back to you, Mr. Adebayo. Please feel free to react to some of the things that maybe have been said and you might just want to speak on. But one thing that keeps coming up over and over again is how do we get it right when it comes to the quality of elections, particularly the general elections? There are always cases where it's taken to court, it's taken to tribunal, and at the end of the day, we still have complaints. So, are there takeaways over the years, particularly when it comes to these appointments?
These appointments, there are no two ways about it. For as long as you allow an interested party in an election to be the one to pick the umpire for the election, elections cannot be free, fair, and credible. That is very basic. Either the chairman of INEC and all the national commissioners of INEC, the power to appoint them should be taken away from the president. So, I mean, that is basic. The issue of, one of the things that can help our electoral process is when we succeed in legalizing and making sure that electoral transmission of results is done from the polling unit. Until we get to that point, we may not just be a miracle for us to be expecting free, fair, and credible election. Because when you do manual tabulation, manual recording of votings and elections and the people that are accredited to vote, it is very, very open to abuse. It is very, very open to manipulation. And that is what has been happening over the years. That's what has been happening over the years. Look at what happens at the state level. We have governments are responsible, who have the power to appoint this year, the State Independent Electoral Commission chairman. What happens? Most of the states, they win the local government elections 100%. 100%, because the governor will set up the State Independent Electoral Commission. The governor will appoint all the principal officers of the State Independent Electoral Commission at every local government election where they have conducted them. The party in power will score 100%. Go and check. We score 99 or 100%. The same thing replicates itself at the national level when you allow the president, who is an active participant in the electoral process, to appoint the chairman of the electoral management body to superintend over an election in which either he or his political party is involved. Then, of course, I believe sure you have rigged the election. So the takeaways will be that electoral transmission of results, we have to legalize that. That will be in our law. Number two, the power to appoint the INEC chairman must be taken away from the president, must be given to an independent body, or you allow career officers to graduate to the level of chairman of INEC. This one is gone. Then you allow career officers who over the years have been able to garner experiences in our electoral management to now succeed the one that is retiring from office. Except we are able to do that, we will continue to have crises in our elections. It's very important.
All right, Mr. Adebayo, just a quick one. You mentioned the electronic transmission of results, but let's talk about the IREV that we have at the moment. And of course, some of the innovative approach to all of this that we saw, in 2023 and has been, used even in recent elections. So far, what's your rating or what's your review of it? Quickly.
Well, technology sometimes can be somehow difficult to manage. We have seen some itches. We have seen what happened with WAEC, JAM, and everything. So, but that should not discourage us. That should not discourage Nigeria. We should be able to continue to improve in the, and our capacity to manage the technology that has to be involved in the management of our elections. That one should not discourage us. The IRF issues and the rest of that. That then we should be able to limit the capacity, the human intervention in the process of the technology management of our election. If we are able to do that, if we are able to achieve that, if we are able to get to a threshold whereby there is minimal human interference in the process, it will now free our elections from rigging, from all the mismanagement.
All right, Mr. Adebayo, thank you. Thank you very much.
The judiciary is also crucial.
We'll get to the role of the judiciary, but let me bring this question to the studio, to you, sir, Deacon Omole. When it comes to elections, I mean, there's a lot of focus on INEC, great, but elections have quite a number of stakeholders. Let me focus on three out of those stakeholders, three of the major stakeholders. There's the umpire, which is INEC in our case, and then there's political parties, and then there's the role of the citizens, who of course are the voters in this. I'd like you to speak on the issue of patriotism, and collective responsibility within this context, particularly as it affects nation building through elections.
Yes. You see, like what you've just mentioned, the three categories. The most important aspect of election, when we talk about INEC, all this kind of thing, if the political parties, you are involved, do you have your agent at the polling units? You have your records. Then you cannot bring them together and do a calculation. I think this thing is very simple. But you see the problem we have, which some of them who are not involved in politics, is that some of them don't have agents. Many of them don't have agents.
You're talking about political parties.
Many of them don't have agents. So, and when you go to a polling unit, you find out that one or two political parties, they are the ones there. If you look at those that are complaining now, for example, tell me how many people are complaining from PDP concerning the election of 2023. You see, if you are involved at each polling unit, if after counting, you will be given your own card. But by the time they ask you to submit many of them don't have those cards because they don't have agents. That's where the problem starts from. It's not Yakubu, it's not anything. When they did it, maybe Professor Jaga was the chairman when Jonathan was there, President Jonathan was there. And he was faithful. The election was done. And it was so that he's a Nigerian. You see, this issue is a Nigerian issue. The problem of politicians, and particularly the political parties, that's the problem.
Not having enough agents.
No, INEC. Many of them don't have agents at polling units.
But what about those that have agents and still claim that some magic still happened at the polling units?
My brother, no magic can happen at polling units if you have agents. You are an agent of PDP, I'm an agent of APC, somebody is agent of Labour, another one is NPP. Then votes were counted. You are issued a voters the results sheet, and you have your results. You take it to the local government. After taking it to the local government, you do a calculation. You know the number of votes, and it's like that all over the country. But the problem is that most of the political parties don't have agents. They don't have agents. Most of them, I can assure that those that will have almost 50% of the agents in this country will not be more than 2 or 3. How many agents? Oh Lord, I don't want to talk about political parties. I'm involved. I know what I'm talking about. Many of them don't have agents. But people will be shouting because of social media and all this kind of thing. I'm telling you, that's the reality. And when you're talking about like what Mr. Mark said, we are Nigerians. If they graduate career officer, if they pick down the professional, are they people, is Jega not a former ASU president? And he did very well. Mahmood is a professor of a university. He did very well. But people will be saying, because
Mahmood did very well.
Yes, he did very well. I'm telling you, how can you fault it? Like what you said now, the INEC something. When the election was conducted in Edo, you do fault him. When it was conducted in the other area, you do fault him. So it's a graduation, you continue to move. But as far as we come from the same environment, let's ask the political parties to really actually have their goings and put everything in order. This will be okay.
This will lead me to my next question, because I mean, you mentioned some elections outside the 2023 elections that happened. You made reference to Edo. I mean, there were challenges that were raised in that particular elections and some other elections that we've seen. But maybe I should just direct that question to Dr. Hashim. Dr. Hashim, let's look at the role of other stakeholders and, you know, a bit of x-ray too of the tenure of the outgoing chairman. Would you say, just like what Deacon Omole has said, would you say Mahmood really did well, you know, as chairman of the agency?
The most progressive agency of government today as it stands is actually INEC. Perhaps maybe because political actors and those who are in charge of the affairs of the state have vested interest. But again, there has been reforms that have been very transformational since the inception of INEC. The issue of inclusion, gender, disability, and how we have also introduced technology into the entire value chain. Yes, we are able to argue that there have been some challenges and setbacks, but again, challenges and setbacks, like every other place in the world, you always experience that. And it is also very important that we also shouldn't fall victim to some challenges of mobs who always believe that nothing good ever comes from the affairs of this country. I mean, I tend to a little bit deviate from that, but look at issues from a constructive perspective. And most importantly, and one thing that is very fundamental for me, is that we need to look and review the Electoral Act currently, Electoral Act as amended 2022. And that is because a number of provisions, even that speaks to some of the concerns you have raised, are very critical. For instance, the issue of IREV and the entire communication infrastructure that also mandates another agency of the state to be able to help validate all of those platforms. For instance, the ministry and the NCC and the ministry, we're also having some roles to play in terms of providing adequate support to the technology that we have also introduced. I think, again, that continues to deepen bias in the entire conversation that we have. So we need a little bit of a review of the extant laws, which for me is very key. But again, if you do an overall rating around indicators, but again, there must be indicators for measuring. And those indicators will suggest very clearly that INEC hasn't entirely done bad. We were not where we should be, but of course we are not where we used to be.
All right.
We have made some significant steps, and that
Dr. Hashim, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Hashim. We'll go on a quick break. When we return, we'll be taking our final thoughts as regards what to look out for. Now that, of course, the president will be jostling on looking out for a replacement for the outgoing chairman of INEC. What are those indicators that should be ticked? Stay with us. We'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ on News Central Television. I still have my guest with me. I'm coming to you right now, Mr. Adebayo. For you now, even though I know that you vehemently in a way disagree that appointments, of the INEC chair should be within the purview of Mr. President, but that's for now what we have. What should be the lookouts for when appointing this new chairman, particularly from the experiences we've had as a country from history? Please, quickly, in 30 seconds.
You see, number one, impeccable integrity is very, very important. It's a person of impeccable integrity, a person that is trustworthy, a person that has a pedigree that Nigerians can relate with. We can have, there are 1,001 gigas.
Because there are also conversations around tribe. Should tribe or region play a role in this appointment?
Yeah. Yes, I believe so. I believe to, because you cannot have a Yoruba president and then you now go and appoint a Yoruba INEC chairman. I mean, that's a no-no for me. That's a no-no for me, because if you are a Yoruba man and as a president you are Yoruba, and then you now go and appoint a Yoruba person to manage. Already people are complaining that some key positions in the country have gone to the southwest. So there must be a new way of doing things. There must be a new direction. You cannot have the president contest an election, bring somebody who is chairman of INEC from the same zone, from the same geopolitical zone that he comes from. No, it will be unacceptable to Nigerians. It will not be acceptable to the international community. We must find a way to utilize international best practices in a way we appoint our electoral management body supervisors.
All right, thank you very much.
The issue of ethnicity is there, even the issue of religion.
Thank you very much. Maybe I should also direct the same question to Deacon Omole. Deacon Omole, in terms of this appointment, do you think that tribe, plays a pivotal role, just like the way Mr. Adebayo has brought it?
Tribe doesn't play any pivotal role. You'll be appointing people. You have Jega, you have Babudam, from South Side and everything. You see, the issue, like what my Mark said, integrity. You can have integrity from the south where it doesn't really matter. You can have integrity from the south. You can as well have integrity from the northwest. It doesn't really matter. It is when we talk about the tribal issue, then it starts to. Somebody can come from Yoruba land and prove his integrity.
So irrespective of whether the president is from a region
of this country, there has not been a time a Yoruba man was appointed as INEC chairman or INEC or whatever.
So you feel this is an opportunity?
If the president decides on his own to appoint a Yoruba, it doesn't stop anything. It will be clear. The election will be clear. It will be fought and won. Clear. Like what the late Adam Shoma said. Fair and square. I'm telling you, nothing. Right. It will happen. People will see it. It will be better. People will see it. It is that time when people can say, okay, let it be done right. Simple. It doesn't matter. We should not be taking ethnicity, tribalism into this issue. So, because the constitution does not say you should not appoint, if you are an Hausa man, you should not appoint an Hausa man, a Yoruba man. It doesn't really matter. Okay. Integrity, like what we've decided, is the most important.
Okay. Dr. Hashim, do you think that, in terms of appointments, in a particular pattern, brings up the issue of moral, acceptability? Do you think that plays out here?
Absolutely. It will be classical nepotism if the president goes in that direction. And then, of course, it is very important for him to know that he loses majority of Nigerians the moment he chooses to pick anybody from. Yes, the constitution of the law does not disallow or does not limit him to do so, but of course morality does. And it is very important for us to understand that checks and balances, neutrality, functionality are very key elements that the president must look out for. And most importantly, he must also allow the office of the citizens to also play out and rule and of course take over power as we move on in our electoral life.
All right, thank you very much. We'll go on a quick break. When we return, we'll be taking our final thoughts. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. And of course, this is where we will be dropping the curtains. I'd like to say a big thank you to my guest, Mr. Mark Adebayo. He's the convener of New Direction for Nigerian Movement. And also, Deacon Banjo Omole is the founder of Inspired Movement, and Dr. Salaudeen Hashim, a public policy analyst. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for your time. Well, in case you missed out, you can catch up on our YouTube platform. That's at News Central TV. You can also choose to follow us on social media. The handle is there on your screen. You can choose to follow me personally at Dakbo, at Digboyi. And of course, until I come your way again, good night.